Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Theorist, here with your host, JC Botero67, aka Vanity Pride, and today you get to see me with makeup on, so it's a little bit different. Anyway, today we're taking a look at Tower of God Season 2, Episode 268. I've got a lot of ideas running through my head, so let's jump right into it. So the chapter starts off with that lady from last time that I was like, I don't know her name, it almost looks like Kun knows her. In the end, he did not know who she was. But it is revealed to us that her name is Dee, and that she is the head of this village. And as a recap from last time, she's basically wanting Kun and Co. to fight with the devils of the fruit, so that they may move on to an even greater world, which, of course, it's probably another stage that they get to move on to once they defeat these devils, which these devils happen to be Bomb and Andrasi, of course, because they are in the quarantine area of this like fruit thing, as the metal ball is called. So Kun accepts right away, like he doesn't even hesitate, even though Boro, who was kind of warning him that she looks suspicious, this lady Dee, maybe you shouldn't go through with it. But Kun's like, well, we need to advance in order to complete other stages, as the Wandering Minstrel had once told him before. So anyway, before they get like the biggest quest, there's like small ones they get to complete before getting this big one. And so for their first little quest, they have to defeat these like screaming monster things. It's like monster plants, because they're kind of disrupting like the peace and quiet of the town. So by completing that quest, they get awarded good deed points. If you gather enough good deed points so that the scanner is filled with white light, the big breeders will give you the scroll for the main quest, where you banish the fruit of good and evil to hell. And so it's almost like a video game, you're completing all these little missions until you reach the big one. Which, I mean, obviously the big mission isn't going to end with defeating the fruit. Obviously, they're going to move on to another stage, and they're going to have more quests to complete there. And then it's also funny because Boro and Sachi are so excited. They're like, oh, hey, we get, free food and free booze. And, of course, they get free clothes as well. So frickin' Kun looks majestic in this outfit. Like, he's like a frickin' knight in shining armor, and that just has me fangirling for him, as always. This boy looks good in anything. And then it was really funny, because Kun gets a thought, and he's like, they didn't get on the train each time just to come here, did they? Because they're bragging a bit again about the free food and the free booze and all that, because they keep getting called heroes. Alrighty, so off they go right away with this mission. Like, Kun just wants to get the ball rolling, basically. And so there's an explosion that happens just outside the town, and they head in that direction to go face off with these monsters that they have to defeat. So in the meantime, we skip on over to Bomb and the group inside the fruit of good and evil in the quarantine area. So Battis is leading the way. He's carrying Viol over his shoulder. Behind him is Coffee Addict, as well as Andrasi and Bomb behind them. And basically Coffee Addict and Battis are talking about the giant soldier that they bumped into. So, like that decked out robot, that huge one, that's who they're talking about. And so Battis, makes a note, and he's like, oh, well, you must be very dangerous. You, meaning Bomb, must be very dangerous if they're coming after you. Because it turns out that this giant soldier is the captain of the guards, which we're not too sure yet on what that's all about, but in due time, we'll get more clarity on that. But I mean, look at Bomb's face here. He looks so innocent, and yet the dialogue next to his face is, you must be a threat to them. I mean, look how cute he is. I just want to cuddle him and hug him and give him love. All right. So now we reach this part with Andrasi, which totally had me cracking up because I just love how brutally honest she is. And she says, I don't like the sound of what that big dude is saying. Anyone can tell that they're clearly more dangerous than you, right, Bomb? And then Bomb's freaking out, and he's like, Andrasi, don't be rude. And she's like, rude? I'm just telling the truth. And then Coffee Addict pipes in, and he's like, he may not look like it, but Battis is a really kind person. He's on our side, so you can relax and follow him. I can vouch for him. Trust me. And then Andrasi's not buying into this bullshit. She's like, but you're the most suspicious one of all here. Which causes, I'm pretty sure it's Coffee Addict to release a kind of nervous laugh. And so they're further into the quarantine area now in what's called the shelter, as well as the seed. And so there's this like robot guy, you know, he's asking Battis, who are these people? Battis responds that they are the heroes that we've been waiting for. Which has me, again, drawing a kind of theory here. So basically, there's two sides because Kun and Co. are considered heroes for that village, whereas Bomb and Andrasi are considered heroes for this, not necessarily the quarantined area, but the fruit of good and evil. So I'm like, okay, they're going to be pitted against each other somehow, but there is definitely more backstory coming up, so just be patient with me. So once they get into this like seed area, there's this little girl that comes running up to Battis, and she freaked me out. Like in the thumbnail of the chapter on the webtoon site, it's just her face is the thumbnail, and like she has like these red marks on her mouth, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, is she bleeding? Like, what is this? It freaked me out a lot. Again, there will be more backstory on that coming up. But anyway, it turns out she is Battis's daughter. I'm sorry. We don't know her name yet, but I'm pretty sure we'll find out. Oh, okay, it's Medley, actually. Okay. Which is a really cute name. I love that. All right, so then we see some guards with Veal. You know, eventually he's going to wake up. But I guess now that I'm on this picture, I'll read this quote here. Before the heroes from the outside, which is Kun and Co., clear this stage, we must escape from this fruit of good and evil. So back to Kun and Co. Of course, there were these freaky looking, like, screaming plants that they were going to defeat earlier. So Kun is looking as hot as ever. You know, look at that fight stance. Look at that determination. Yes. All right. And so it's a piece of cake for them to eliminate these monsters. Even the Wandering Minstrel is like, oh, yay, you guys did it. So, all right, so she confirms that they have just received 50 good deed points for what they just did. And on the scanner, it's seen that the dark part is decreasing. So that means that the evil power in this stage has decreased by that much. Which it doesn't look like a lot, according to Kun. But then the minstrel goes on to say, if you get rid of all of this evil gauge, you'll get a chance to try the grand quest and clear this stage. So Kun's like, yeah, let's get to it, like right now, no breaks. And then we come back to, oh, the little girl's with Veal right now. In another room, he's still knocked out. And then it's got to be either Andrasi or Bomb freaking out because they're like, what? You're being dragged underground forever? Which Battis goes on to explain, that's right. The other name for this quarantine area is the fruit of good and evil. From the outside, this place looks like a giant ball. Whenever heroes on the outside clear this stage, we are trapped deep underground by a giant. Even if they fail to clear the stage, we are devoured by the giant. We do not have much time. That's why you have to escape from this place before then. Otherwise, you'll be trapped in complete darkness until the next heroes appear. So this is where I'm going to make my theory now. If Kun and Co. succeed in getting this ball to be thrown into the underground, then before Bomb and Andrasi can get out, then my thought was that either Rachel and Yura are going to be the next set of heroes to, you know, go through this village and complete all these like quests and, you know, complete the stage by trying to get that ball underground again. That or Wang let me get that right. Wang Nan could be the next hero to try and clear that stage as well. And then I was thinking, okay, will Baum and Andrassi meet other quarantine newcomers? Because you know how SIU loves to throw in new characters every now and then. So that was kind of a thought that I had. Obviously, one of the points that I made about somebody would not be true because we end up seeing them later on in this chapter. But for now, we'll continue on. So Battis goes on to say, we have been repeating the stage for a very long time. We have tried many times, but we have never succeeded in escaping. Why are you isolated in this place? That's Baum. Battis continues. We all have our own reasons. Some are trapped here for committing a crime. I was the data human called the Wandering Minstrel. Which I'm like, okay, he is being replaced by this chick that is now guiding Kun, which had me theorizing as well, like, oh, is this girl evil? Like, is she, not who we think she is? Because she seems cute and innocent and nice, but who knows? So anyway, the Wandering Minstrels greet heroes like you. So there's several of them. They tell them about this world, sing, and lead them. And we usually serve to worship and praise the big breeders, the rulers of this floor. So someone asks big breeders, and the response is, the big breeders are like the administrators of this place. They're like gods who decide on the rules and settings for this data world, and act as mediators who correct any wrongdoings. And Battis goes on to say, we were created to praise the big breeders, but one day I saw the truth about them. I saw the big breeders and soldiers mercilessly beating, mocking, and laughing at a citizen here. They erased and manipulated all of his memories. Without knowing what was going on, he started singing songs in praise of the big breeders again. When I saw that, I was enraged. So I created a song to expose the truth about them. I sang that song in front of people. At first, people didn't believe my song, but the more they listened to it, the more their memories of the evil deeds of the big breeders buried deep in their memories started to return. And my song started spreading quickly among people. Then, ultimately, it ignited a fire in people's hearts. So many residents started standing up to the big breeders. The big breeders were flustered, and soon after they were furious. They sent their soldiers to destroy the town, violate the residents, and then reset their memories. The song was burned and destroyed, and ultimately the only people who remembered the truth were me and a few people around me. Then one day a big breeder came to me and said, "For humiliating me with that filthy song, I will make you feel eternal pain." Then he trapped me in this place and made the completion requirements so that warriors must knock this quarantine area down to the underworld. Ultimately, since then, we have repeated death and failure countless times in this place. And in order to stop me from singing anymore, and then we see an image of Baum's eyes widening, the big breeders ripped my mouth apart like this. I mean, poor guy, it's crazy how I had talked about, maybe Zahard and maybe other people, maybe this floor isn't as... I don't think I talked about the floor in general, but just certain characters, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe, their younger selves aren't as corrupt. But yet, corruption is still happening on this floor. And it's sad because Battis's daughter is affected too. And they placed a curse on my daughter, so she can never learn to speak. I want to escape from this place and get revenge on the big breeders. And Baum looks really pissed here. He's not going to tolerate any more of this injustice. Because he's even demanding, where are they right now? And then we get back to Kun and Co. here. Which, okay, before we delve into that, I'm thinking, can they not communicate? Okay, you know how Ship and Kun earlier on in season 2... they were talking about Rachel during that one chapter. They were able to communicate with each other. So I'm wondering why Kun or Baum aren't more concerned and trying to reach out to each other. you know, obviously they know they're both strong enough to handle anything, but, you know, I think communication would be nice still. Or it may be that on this hidden floor, you know, communication is not able to work. So that might be the answer to my own question. Anyway, Kuhn, I believe, is asking, but is there a separate villain that we have to defeat for that grand quest as well? And then the Wandering Minstrel says, yes, in the grand quest, you must defeat a champion villain, summoned by the big breeders themselves. A champion? Is it an especially tough enemy? Yes, the champion villain is stored on a scroll, which only the big breeders have. It varies from stage to stage, but it's very powerful. Who are those big breeders that you keep mentioning? To put it in terms of the outside world, the big breeders are like administrators. I guess you could say they're like gods. Gods? Kuhn asks. Yes, the rulers and transcenders of data who control us, give us life and death, and are the only ones among the data humans in this world able to adjust other data. The big breeders are the great gods of this world. So obviously from before, with Battis' story, you know, we kind of got an idea, okay, the big breeders are really corrupt if they're erasing people's memories and manipulating these people. But especially after this quote, where she's kind of glorifying them, like, it really hit me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's so sad that the hidden floor also has this corruption going on. Luckily, Coffee Addict, in this younger data version of himself, doesn't seem to be corrupt. Suspicious, maybe, but he doesn't seem to be corrupt just yet. And so, this is the point where I was thinking, hopefully Zahard is not entangled in this either, as in the young Zahard. But you will see in a minute that I might be wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip out on her frickin' little song. See, even Kuhn was thinking about the young Zahard. He's like, okay, maybe these big breeders know where the data of the young Zahard is. And so with even more desire, does Kuhn want to complete this quest, well, these various quests as soon as possible in order to get close to the big breeders and figure out where Zahard is. So, that being said, there's this mirror and a voice is coming out of it. It looks like the people trapped in the quarantine area still haven't been eliminated. That damn mirror spread their companions throughout several stages. Watch out for them. Something about them seems suspicious. Great big breeder, sir. And this great big breeder, who's like this shadow image, remains silent. But behind him, on the bed, is Rachel. They've somehow gotten a hold of Rachel. Hopefully we'll find out through some flashback of hers how this even happened. But continuing on. Are you watching everything? Says the voice from the mirror. Big Breeder says, you don't worry about that. I will handle this. Lord Zahard. So that means that Zahard is a piece of shit on the hidden floor as well. Unless, now that I'm thinking about it, theory time, unless these big breeders are somehow manipulating Zahard. We don't know about that. So that just popped into my mind. I'm glad I was able to get that last thought out. So that being said, this concludes this review, and I will catch you guys next week. See ya.